I'm currently on a sabbatical and my first stop is Portugal. Welcome to my fourth and last day in Coimbra. We would also be going on a day trip to the unreal village of Talasnal, straight out of a fairy tale book. We didn't have much of a schedule planned, so Antonio took me to his grandmother's home, which was in the outskirts of Coimbra. It is a peaceful place surrounded by nature amongst the mountains. Antonio's grandmother is lovely, as she showed me around the house and her many paintings she had created throughout the years. She recommended that we go to Talasnal, a tiny village hidden in the mountains where the houses were built with schist, a metamorphic rock that could be found in its surroundings. It was a beautiful 1-hour drive, and while it was chilly and rainy, it lent to the most dramatic views from the mountains. On our way, we passed through several miradouros where we could admire the breathtaking surroundings. You know how they say that it's all about the journey and not the destination? Not in this case. The destination was just as impressive as the beautiful drive there. The village dates to the 17th century and features fairy tale houses with pretty handwritten signs surrounded by pristine nature. For some reason, they were also very into Christmas ornaments, which added to the charm. We were very lucky to have been there on a Monday. Having dodged the weekend, we avoided the many tourists that had arrived the days before. We had traveled on practically an empty stomach, so we were looking forward to our obligatory coffee and snack. We stopped by a tiny cafe called Casa da Urze, where we had its original sweet concocted by the owner's wife, a pastel de castaña, or chestnuts pastel. This place was so quaint and charming, I was obsessed with its details and could have moved in there immediately. It is quite a small village, and after strolling around in its entirety, we got hungry. We went to Talasnal Montanhas da Amor to hide from the chilly weather. There was even hail at some point, and had the very dramatic chorizo asado, which would also serve as a portable fireplace for us. Just look at her go. We also had some wine to warm our bodies and bellies up, along with a cheese and ham platter. I would also later indulge in the creamiest hot chocolate with medronho, a traditional liqueur there, which got me to the perfect level of tipsy. As we left the village, we had a magical Disney moment where we saw some deer bid us farewell. At first I thought that perhaps my hot chocolate had more than liqueur in it, and was relieved that Antonio had seen the same thing. We would drive down astonished at the fantasy of the whole experience. Back in Coimbra, Antonio took me to Miradouro do Convento de Santa Clara to admire the city I had grown so fond of. As amazing as Lisbon is, the past few days have shown me that Portugal is so much more. We would then have a dinner of frango assado, or piri-piri chicken. We had come full circle and had to compensate for the first chicken we had on our first night in Coimbra, which had come without the piri-piri sauce. We went to Dom Franguito, and when Antonia asked the waitress for an English menu for me and she giggled at us, I knew that it would be good chicken. Just look at that sauce. Come dessert time, Antonio suddenly had a breakthrough. We had to have a pastel de Tentúgal, a delicious pastry filled with, what else, egg custard wrapped in a paper-thin dough and baked till crispy. We also had to go to the best place for it, our Pousadinha. It would be closing at 10 p.m. in 15 minutes, so we had to be quick. We rushed there and Antonio jumped out of the car to ask if it was still open. Yes, they said. The kind people from the cafe welcomed us in, and I was able to try this delectable award-winning pastry. The sugar high, adrenaline and excitement made for the perfect end to the night. And that was my last night in Coimbra. We would be headed to Porto the next day. Thank you for joining me.